pretty much settled to be wherever they're going to be. It's like elementary school. I'll put my hand up. We've got lots of friends that are teachers in the room. We're heavy with the educational set here. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. We're here to celebrate Peter's life, and we thought that a number of friends would show up, but we seem to have filled the place. I want to take a moment to explain the format for the afternoon. This is not a worship service, unless you haven't guessed that already. The family would like to thank Peter's Church for the fabulous worship service they had this morning. We're here together as friends, his colleagues, and his relatives to come together and share our love for Peter and reconnect with old friends, meet some new friends, maybe share a story or two, and certainly share some music. The formal portion of the afternoon is going to be pretty short. My brother Ed is going to say a few words in preparation of Peter. Kevin Turcock is going to play a special song, and there will be a moment of silence. And then the balance of the afternoon really is going to be spent celebrating Peter's life in the best way that we knew how, and that was sharing our friendship, our memories, and our love for Peter. There's food and refreshments at the bar area.
There will be more.
And there will be more. That was just a start. We're a little tight for space, so they will continue to refresh. So don't feel shy. Just saddle up to the buffet and
We'll pass some canapes.
oh, we're going to pass some canapes as well? All right. Pierogies being laid up up front.
Is there any meat?
There's a huge tray of meat back there. The meat salad is definitely out. Peter had a really unique way of talking to strangers and engaging them out of the blue. I think it's probably the big smile that managed to disarm people instantly. And then he'd have this way of leaning into you when he was speaking that either indicated that he was really paying attention to what you were saying or that he was going to share whatever secret it was that he had. So even though this is a tight room, and I was noticing that there's really sort of 4 generations or 4 different groups of people from Peter's lives here. I mean, there's people that were in our neighborhood that grew up with us, and there's folks that went to elementary school with Peter, and high school, and university, and his co-workers that are all mingling in this room. We didn't get name tags. It might have been handy if we had name tags that were color-coded so you could identify that you were from, university or high school or what portion of his lives. And those of us that have been around a while longer could get like ribbons, like we're at a convention, so we have the ribbon competition. But we are all friends here, and I'm sure we all have stories to share about Peter. So take a moment, if you encounter a stranger, just introduce yourself and find out what brought Peter into their lives or brought Peter into theirs. I'm sure there's 1,001 stories here to share. One of the things that I wanted to point out, because it was tough as we had sort of the crush of bodies coming through and into the room, is that there is a table of condolence just in front of the wooden accent wall. And one of the items on that table are donation cards for the scholarship fund that has been created in Peter's name at Lockerbie Composite High School. That was the high school that we attended to. The scholarship will be provided to a music student at Lockerbie. The music program was an important part of Peter's lives and many of our lives at Lockerbie Composite. Mrs. Turcotte, who was our band leader and music teacher at Lockerbie, is here with us, and her son Kevin and his trio are playing this afternoon. So it really was an integral part of Kevin's life. And if you are looking for some way to commemorate Peter, there's nothing better than you could do to give the gifts of music to his alma mater. Also want to note there's a lot of people here from out of town. We've got guests here from all over Ontario, from Sudbury, from British Columbia, and from overseas. And Ed wanted to let you know that following the event, rather than having to go out onto the Danforth and patronize the neighborhood coffee shops and greasy spoons. Even though they're going to be opening for business, you're welcome to migrate upstairs into the banquet room, which is just at the top of the stairs. Or we're going to rooftop patio?
Yeah, it's nicer.
Okay, it's a sunny day. As long as the weather holds up, the rooftop patio will be open, and after the formal event, everybody's certainly welcome to congregate on the rooftop rather than disappearing to the other establishments on the Danforth. Peter's family asked that my contribution to the event be some sort of a reading or quotation. And those of you that know me know that I'm not really the existential type and may not be the most spiritual person in the world. So I was left looking for an appropriate reading or quotation that would suit. And I had to think about what Peter meant in my life. And for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Rick, and Peter and I were neighbors. We've known each other since we were, I don't know, 2 years old or thereabouts. He's in the earliest memories that I have on Earth. I found an interesting quote, and except that I haven't written. Oh, here it is. It's on the first page. There's not a word yet for old friends who've just met. And I thought of that because Ed managed to find something that triggered a really early memory of Peter. Ed's building this lovely house down near the waterfront, and he's uncharacteristically being proactive in cleaning out his old house. And at Christmas time, he dropped a bunch of cases of photo albums and scrapbooks in my lap, because he was going to offload the stories of family memorabilia on me. And I'm going through the bins, and I turned up a scrapbook that had birthday cards that my mom had saved for my 4th birthday. And in that stack were birthday cards from my friends Dante and Andy and Trish Tate and Peter Roman. And I don't think there's very many friendships in the world where you can say you are old friends by the time you were 4 years old. And Peter was through my entire life, through kindergarten, elementary school, high school. We even ended up attending the same university. He was there for my marriage, for my divorce, the loss of my parents, the birth of my kids. You know, our lives managed to maintain the same arc through the last 50 years. And so I wanted to really sort of commemorate that journey that Peter and I and my brother Ed and several other close friends have shared throughout life. And there was this great quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson: "Life is a journey, not a destination." And it's a great quote. Problem is, it wasn't actually from Ralph Waldo Emerson. I was doing some research and turned out that it was written by anonymous. So I thought, well, okay, I can't use that quote. Well, I used it just now, but that can't be the quote. That you know, I got to come up with something better to commemorate Peter with. And I thought, well, poetry. This is a you know, a weighty moment. There must be a piece of poetry that summarizes my relationship with Peter. And so I thought, well, let's look for poems that invoke a journey. And up came Robert Frost. "Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I would not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then looked the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for the passing there, had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I would ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that made all the difference. Great poem. Again, doesn't really relate. 'Cause I did some research on this poem by Robert Frost, and everybody thinks that this is a really weighty poem about deciding to follow the road less traveled, and the weightiness of making decisions, and the elegance of deliberation. Turns out he actually wrote it as a joke for his friend. The fellow's name was Edward Thomas, and Edward Thomas and Robert Frost liked to go for walks in the woods. And Ed drove Bob crazy because he could never decide what road to go down. Should we take the right path? Should we take the left path? He'd take the right path, and after a couple miles down the right path, would discover that there's nothing but a swamp down the road, and perhaps they should have taken the left path. So Robert Frost wrote this as a bit to commemorate his friend Ed. I thought, well, you know, really, this is appropriate, because we really don't know what direction life is going to take us, and the randomness of chance and the accumulation of all of our experiences dictates where we go in life and who we become. And then, as I thought on this theme, I was led to another quote that I think perhaps best encompassed my relationship with Peter. Sometimes it's about going there, not getting there. Sometimes it's the journey that teaches you a lot about your destination. And sometimes, when you get there, you'll look back and you'll realize that you wish you could go there again, because all the experiences are the reason that you are today. Drake. My brother Ed. I don't know who Drake is.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Rick, for your brief introduction. And I'm sorry, I'm old. There we go. Now I can see. I'm sorry, I can't see you through my nose. I see you all there. And I'm very happy to see you all here today. And the first thing everybody pretty much has said to me is like, we got to do this more often, but for a different reason. And I think we should leave here at the very least saying, let's get together more for happy occasions. Now, and this is my first eulogy, so I'm going to thank you in advance for your patience and your understanding. And this is, I'm not used to these because I refuse to believe that I'm old. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but yet it's one of the easiest things I've had to do. And I'd like to thank all of you, and I'd like to thank all of you for trusting me to be the one to deliver this, and it's a real honor. And I feel very lucky because it's a gift for me to be here today in front of you, with all of you, and to talk about my friend Peter, my brother Peter. And at this point, I'm going to talk in the present tense, because for me, it's still too early to talk about him in the past tense. So I'm not losing my mind. This is the way I still see everything right now. And Peter and I have talked about this. Someone will have to bring me water. Talk about having a funeral for one another, and as young people, we joke about having funerals, and we say we're going to have a funeral. It's going to be fun. We got to make sure we have an agreement that when we do this, it has to be a happy event. So I'm happy to see all these smiling faces around, and we're going to make it a happy event, full of friends, full of music, absolutely. And you're going to have to help me fulfill that wish. And I'm going to also note that Rick stomped all over my speech, so he's already taken good parts of mine out already, even though we didn't coordinate. I know that he would be happy to see all of you here, And as you all know, he loves to be the center of attention. Sometimes it feels like the world revolves around him, and he can draw in so many people, as Rick said, from anywhere, anytime, and disarm them with his smile. On that last note, over the last several weeks, I've had contacts with so many of you, people out of the blue that I haven't known, I've met, spoken to, such a great community of his friends, his work colleagues, group members that he's been with, therapists, doctors, clergy, so many people that I didn't know knew him and were so close to him and were so, were all there for Peter, and I'm thankful for all of you. I know Peter's family also deeply, deeply grateful to all of you that you've done with Peter and done for Peter over the last many years. And I've known Peter, as my brother said, I've known Peter all my life. He was born a year before me and a year after my brother. So we've spent our entire life together. My first very vivid memory was the next birthday. My third birthday, his fifth birthday. My brother and I are 2 years apart and almost at the same time. So we always had to share our birthday party. And at that birthday party, Peter came and he brought my brother a gift of a red flashlight and a whistle. And I remember I was jealous because I thought he was my friend, but he brought my brother a gift. So I stole the whistle, which should have been part of my gift, and I probably still have that whistle. And Peter and I, because we lived across the street from each other, as we said, you know, we're a 9-iron away from each other, we did everything together. We played hockey, but street hockey, because I'm the only child in Sudbury that never played hockey. But Peter was good at every sport. He did play some hockey, and he certainly loves to skate. He's a great cross-country runner. He isn't much of a golfer, but definitely a good soccer player and a great soccer fan. Then we, of course, because we were so close and we all lived in the same neighborhood, went to the same school, as Rick mentioned. And we all went to Wembley Public School for elementary school. And I got a call today, but I also got a call 3 weeks ago from Miss Aloma Johnson, who was our grade 4 teacher. She was a phenomenal piano player, and she was a great, basically the energy, the music energy in our elementary school. And she told me a story that I'd never heard before about Peter's mom dropping him off for his first day of kindergarten. And Olga brought him into the classroom and dropped Peter off, and Peter was completely hysterical. He was crying and wailing and didn't want to be left there alone, and so he didn't want to leave his mom and dad, and he was crying for his mom and dad. Miss Johnson said, because her classroom faced the street, Mrs. Roman left in tears. She went and stand under the tree for 20 minutes, and she cried as she left her son for his first day of kindergarten. Peter is very loved, and Peter did cry a lot. After Wembley, we all went to Lockerbie, and this is where Peter really started to shine as a leader, especially in the music program. And a special shout out again to the Turcotte family, who've been such an integral part, an influential part, and dear part of a lot of our lives here, for sure. Peter is a masterful trumpet player. Peter's dad, Bill, was the first person to put a trumpet in my hand, and with Peter playing right beside me. And I was never as good as him. And this isn't about me, but it's like our legs are pretty tight. I was never as good as him. And partly because I didn't practice as much as he did, but really because Peter was born with real talent. And I truly believe that some things cannot be learned. And he is a true natural talent, and he never stopped playing the trumpet ever. After high school, we went to university together, and we both applied to Western, and as it turns out, there's no way the administration will let you choose your roommate when you go to residence at school. So I wrote a letter to the administration in purple crayon of the residence, asking, can I please be roommates with my best friend ever? It would mean the world to me. And sure enough, when we arrived, we were paired up in the room. So that stuck again, where we spent all of university together. And he was a good student. He is a good student. And he succeeded in pretty much anything he did. He was a brilliant orator. His public speaking was great. He was a master debater. And he loved politics, he loved arguing, he loves having an opinion. And he isn't always right, but he always thinks he's right. Much like my brother. And even so, he still has an open mind enough to listen to people and to listen up to other people's opinion. And whether he agrees or not, I think it was inevitable that he should have gone into politics and to become a civil servant, because it seemed like a natural path for me anyways. And after university, even after we went our own ways, we both ended up in Toronto, and we spent all of our lives together. So growing up, it didn't matter whose mother was yelling at us, whether it was Helvi or Olga. They were equally fierce, equally justified, and highly feared. And there are some other Peterisms. Peter had an incredible sense of style, from fancy socks to polo shirts in the 80s, of course, with the collar up. He loves to wear a tie and jacket. He loves getting dressed up for special occasions and not for special occasions, where most of us would rather put on jeans, and it's got to be a special occasion for me to put on a suit and a tie for sure. And this is the first pair of socks I bought in my life that were not black or white. And I bought it for Peter, and there's a sock store on the Danforth here, and all they sell is socks. And I look at the socks, and you can tell there are maple leaves and beavers on it. And I saw that, and I went, oh, that's Peter, and I think he would like those socks. And I chose the socks because it reminds me of him, not just because he wears fancy socks, but Peter is also fiercely patriotic. He loves being Canadian, and I'm not sure if I know it's not just him. The Perpick family and his entire family, the Roman family, is very patriotic, and that's one thing I've actually gotten from them that I've learned in my many, many years with them. He also loves being from Sudbury and being from Kirkland Lake, and he's always celebrated his roots, and he's never been shy to say, this is where I'm from and I love it. He loves being Ukrainian. He loves being from the north, and overall, he was a very proud Canadian. He knew that Canada was the best country in the world, and that's sort of unique, but not unique for most Canadians. The other thing that really stands out for me in Peter, and you have to get to know him a little bit, but he is a great human being. Regardless of a situation in life, whatever is happening, good or bad, he's always willing and wants to give back. And he would help a stranger on the street before he'd help himself. And his giving nature is very special. And above everything else, I have to move this now because I have to look at you. Peter loves his family, absolutely. And Peter is very loved by his family. You would do anything for him. You did do anything for him. You moved mountains to try to help him in every aspect of his life. I've never met someone who has such a vast support network of amazing, loving people. But you must also realize how much he loves, respects, and idolizes all of you. Each one of you, especially his nieces and nephews, Alex, Nicola, Ben, and Alexandra. I'm sorry, Nicola couldn't be here. He adores you guys. For Peter, what his family thinks means everything to him. Your opinion matters more than anything. And sometimes it's unfortunate he doesn't realize how unconditional your love is for him. You are his world. You've given him everything that you can. And you should leave here today remembering that one fact. You love him with all your hearts, and there's nothing more anyone can do or anyone could have done to try to help him. There's nothing more that you could have given. You gave everything. Absolutely everything. And you know that. There's no finger to point. There's no blame to be assigned. You are all remarkable individuals to make up a remarkable family. And the whole is certainly incredibly much more than the sum of the parts. And right now there's a big hole in our lives. And we're all going to be fine. We can smile still, it's still allowed. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not today, but eventually we're all going to be fine. With each other's love and support and humor and stubbornness, we will put away the bad memories and learn to cherish all of the good ones. And we will always have each other. And I'd like to conclude today with some of Peter's own words, after which Kevin's going to come up and play a song. It's a Miles Davis called Blue in Green. It's a beautiful song. He's going to play for Peter. And to Kevin and his trio, thank you so much for being here. It means the world to Peter, absolutely, to have you here. It would make me so happy. And after Kevin plays, I'd like us all to have a moment of silence to ponder his life, to send him love, and to remember him however you need to do that. So the quote I'm taking is from one of Peter's group therapy exercises, and he was asked to write about himself, to write about his life. And there were a couple of sentences for me that were particularly poignant. And in his own words, he wrote, "Peter did love and was loved by his entire family. Peter loved life, but struggled to find his place in it. And Peter, your struggle is over now. May you rest in peace." Thank you, everybody.
And now we eat.